Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. I know we're going to give it a few seconds as the room starts to fill up and give some folks some time to get in and get settled. And then we'll begin the program. This works out. So what I'm going to do is just get started because I know a lot of us have a hard out and it is a Friday. It is on the cusp of a weekend, so I don't want to hold anyone too long. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time zone you find yourself in. My name is Ramon Lowe. I'm the Director of Membership and Industry Engagement for the Airport Minority Advisory Council. This is AMAC 360, and this is basically our virtual roundtable program that we host each month as a service for our members and even prospective members out there who are probably interested on the subjects that we're tackling. And of course, as we do it each month, the last, I want to say probably 6-8 months that we've been doing this, we've been bringing on some subject matter experts from within the industry to tackle any number of topics that are obviously hot button at the time. So before we get to our guest panelists today, I do have a few housekeeping announcements to make. And let's go off the top. If you are a member, or maybe if you're a prospective member, aside from you should be joining AMAC and you should become part of the chapters, make sure you make good use of our event calendar. Now, a lot of our partners and our members will host or post, any upcoming events that they're hosting throughout the country. Throughout the months or so. And it's a great place for you to kind of get acclimated to see what's going on. And I would say 99% of these events are virtual, 99% of them are free. All it takes is just for you to kind of like go and register. So I want to highlight a couple of events that are coming up, and actually they're coming up next week. If you are going to be in the New York area, the AMAC Eastern and Northeastern regions will be co-hosting a meet and mix event Tuesday, June 25th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a great opportunity to get to Midtown Manhattan this time with all the hustle and bustle. But this is also a great opportunity for you to kind of meet our AMAC regional leadership, Indira Figueroa Blaney and Robin Gibson, as well as network and mix amongst industry experts and industry leaders. So that is also on our calendar. Make sure you kind of check out the times and dates and make sure you register. Secondly, we are also our Baltimore, Washington chapter will be hosting an event June 26th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Now, this will be featuring a keynote speaker in Sharon Pinder, the president and CEO of the Capital Region Minority Supplier Diverse Development Council. And you'll get to hear not just from her, but from our AMAC CEO, Ebdi Wimbush, our AMAC Board Directors Chair, Ricky Smith, and of course, our Baltimore, Washington chapter president, Carla Nelson Chambers, who promises me that this is going to be a can't miss event. So make sure that you register for both of these events. Again, you go to our events calendar on the website and register to attend. Please make sure you don't miss them. And last but certainly not least, if you have been living under a rock or you haven't seen any of our marketing emails and promotions on this, the 39th Annual Airport Business Diversity Conference, it is fast approaching. I want to say as of right now, it's probably less than a month and a half away. So if you haven't already registered, and I don't know why you haven't, but make sure you do so now. Just go to amac-org.com/annual conference. Now, we've had a rash of a really unbelievable run on registrations, which has led to good and bad. The show hotel, selling out, but we do have a number of overflow hotels that are within the vicinity of the show hotel. But you need to register first before you can reserve those rooms and take advantage of our conference rate. Now, how that works is once you register, you will automatically be sent an email that will say, thank you for registering. Here's a link to all the overflow hotel options per the conference. So make sure you register so you can get that automatic email so then you can reserve your room and you can attend the can't miss event of the year. It's not hyperbole to say that. Anyway, again, that URL is amac-org.com/annual conference. And with that, go to the reason why everyone is here. It's not just because of me. I want to introduce our panelists today, and I titled this State of Play because, again, I want to focus on, I want to bring in some different voices and different folks to come on here and talk about some of the unique challenges and opportunities that they have at the disposal. Because, again, we like to say in this industry, once you've been to one airport, you've been to one airport, and it's the
Mhm.
same in this instance. So let me introduce our panelists today. We have Rochell Akins. She is the DBE Compliance Coordinator for the Capital Region Airport Commission, who oversees Richmond International Airport. And we
Mhm.
have Rebekah Bray, the Principal Property Manager for San Jose Mineta International Airport. I hope I got that right, Rebekah, because I know you guys recently changed all that.
We did.
So, so Rochelle, Rebekah, and Ramon, we have the three R's. That's all we need. Ladies, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having us.
having me.
Okay, let's just bust into it. I want to start very, very broadly, and just talk about just give me just a little broad overview of the current state of your airport. I'm not looking specifically for numbers or anything like that. Folks can look that up. Just a general overview of the state of your airport for our audience. And Rochelle, we'll kind of start with you.
Oh, yeah, sure. So the Richmond International Airport is actually focused on enhancing our participation for DBEs, ACDBEs, and now SBEs. And this is due to final rule with adding the SBE element to the concession portion. So we're focused on how to adjust and navigate that, looking at our procurement process, as well as some projects that are coming down the pipeline. So ultimately, the way Richmond looks now, it will not look like this in 5 years. So big changes coming for Richmond.
Rebekah?
So the San Jose International Airport, last year we served approximately 12 million passengers total. I think one thing I really like to highlight is we were proudly named the best mid-size airport in the US by the Wall Street Journal last year. So yay us. This year has been really busy for us. One thing is that we are celebrating that SJC turned 75. So one of the things that's really fun is we've been running this really fun campaign that really highlights the airport's very first passengers. And if you don't know who they were 2,550 baby chickens. So it's been really fun to highlight that. One of the other things that we've been focusing on is we are welcoming back Frontier Airlines, who will be relaunching in July of this year. And they're going to start with five destinations by August. So a lot coming down the pipes as we look to welcome, new airlines back to our airport, as well as focusing on upcoming initiatives.
Excellent. And I know you have the two of you have very distinct responsibilities, but they all eventually dovetail and coalesce into the experience at the airport and makeup of the airport. So, Rochelle, you mentioned that you guys are working on incorporating the final rule and SBEs into the program. How has that been going so far, or is it kind of still too early to kind of tell what the work is, how the work is going?
Well, actually, there is a new RFP that is going to hit maybe mid-August, and this is the two-bar concept as in our concourses, and then we're adding a retail and food concept along with a standalone SBE coffee concept, and that will be our first SBE concession in the airport. So we're doing outreach for this on July 17th. It will be virtual for anyone that's a supplier to attend Richmond's outreach event. So when it comes to the actual program, we have to kind of do the trial and error component, right? We don't necessarily know the ins and outs of how to sustain it, but we are definitely going to support our small business when they get into the airport and leaning on some of those resource partners, excuse me, that we have in the community, that we go to their collaborative events that they have, and that capital access component. So we're definitely looking forward to our first SBE entry into Richmond International Airport.
Thank you. And Rebekah, I know you have you've been working on a couple of opportunities as well there at San Jose.
We do.
How's that
Yes,
going?
it's been going really well. So we do have a retail RFP that we'll be releasing later this year in approximately August. and it consists of 2 retail opportunities of approximately 6 locations. And what I think is really unique is that we've really been focusing on encouraging and highlighting local participation in our merchandise and product mix. What we really did to try to encourage those that propose to do that is we're actually offering a discount. So if your percentage rent, whatever you propose for your percentage rent, there's a 3% reduction in the percentage rent on all items that are from local businesses. So we just recently, a few weeks ago, completed our outreach efforts, and we invited local businesses to come and meet with those potential prime operators that are interested. And I think one of the things we wanted to focus on is not, just introducing potential bidders to local businesses, but making sure that this is a living program, so that it's continuously refreshed, that businesses within the community feel that there's always an opportunity for them. And so, we're trying to do that by making sure that we continue to reach out to them, that they are, put in connection with those that are currently in our airport or those future businesses, so that it continues to be something where that opportunity is always open for businesses.
I like that because now we're I know, like I said, you both have 2 kind of distinct responsibilities, but they do dovetail into something that Rebekah you just said, and that is providing more opportunities for folks. Now I can sit here and say, well, we want more operators and
Yes.
diversity in operators and participants, et cetera. But it's not, I guess we have to in some ways reverse our thinking to that. It's not simply we need more minority small business owned businesses, but from a supplier perspective, there's other ways in. Is that accurate? And I'll start with you, Rochell.
Yes, that's most definitely accurate. We do have the opportunity for suppliers to work within the airport, whether that is with a food and beverage or the retail component. Like we have Delaware North and Hudson, and they attend our outreach events. So that's why we always encourage people to participate in those outreach events, because you have the opportunity to do your elevator pitch right then and there, and you never know what someone is looking for. So it's always encouraged just to stay abreast, stay in communication with me. I might know something about the airlines and what they need. We had a young lady attend a concession event, but she did environmental cleaning, and Delta needed a service, and she was able to get a contract because she just stood up and said, this is my job, this is who I am, this is what I offer, and Delta was in the room. So like I said, it's plenty of opportunity to be a supplier. You just have to stay in network.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I agree with what Rochelle just said. We actually have, in addition to the retail opportunities, we also have a kiosk program. And the kiosk program, and that was why we developed it, was to make sure that local businesses had that opportunity to understand what it means to operate at an airport with a low capital investment. So we want to make sure that it's not just about partnering with the prime, but what does it mean to operate in an airport? How do we encourage businesses to participate, and how do we continue to keep them engaged? And so that really is where our focus has been, is making sure that there's community engagements, and using that as a stepping stone for them to create opportunities within the airport environment.
Here's the challenge of interviewing 2 smart women is that now I have like 3 questions and I don't know which one to go to first. But I'm going to pick it because I do want to keep this in some sort of natural order. But I'm going to start with something that Rebekah you just mentioned, is a kiosk program. Kiosk RMUs, et cetera, not necessarily new to the industry. I know many airports have done these programs before. It just feels like maybe, and I could be wrong, maybe there isn't that much awareness that this is a potential point of entry, kind of dip your toe into this, airport concession field and test the waters to get familiar. But is it something that is starting to gain more steam? Should we kind of rethink this? Because, when you think kiosk, in some ways, some folks were like kind of averse to that in some ways, or are we trying to reverse that thought?
I think that there's different opportunities for different types of businesses. And it really depends on where they currently are and what their future goals are. Some of the challenges sometimes with the kiosk programs for smaller businesses is staffing. If it's a mom and pop who has a great product, that's wonderful, but they may not have the resources to have someone fully, staffed at a kiosk program. So it's about providing a mix of opportunities. And that's where product placement, becomes an important factor for some of these smaller businesses. How do I get my products in the airport? How do I make sure that I'm represented in the airport environment? But the kiosks themselves have had a place where, one of our kiosk programs has led to the operator becoming ACDBE certified and looking for additional opportunities. So it has been very successful for different companies, and in a way, it's a pilot program for them. Is this the right mix for me? Is this the stepping stone to a future opportunity for an inline store? So different companies, different opportunities.
And I know there's some questions coming into the Q&A, and I'll make sure if we have time in the end to kind of ask these, because I think some of them are pretty relevant. But going back to our conversation, Rochell, when you and I spoke, I don't want to say kiosk, but more so an incubator type program is something I know you and I have talked about. Talk about like kind of your mindset, obviously the reasons why we know, but just kind of verbalize the why of it and the how of it.
Right, because a lot of times you're looking at businesses that may be in the process of expanding, but they've never been in the aviation industry whatsoever. And so we're looking at the incubator as an opportunity to give them um, a place where they're not fully committed. They might have a 45-day contract, and then from there they can say, yes, this is something I enjoy, or no, I don't enjoy it, versus like if they underperform, or it's an expense that they're not willing to risk their business for, they're not stuck in that obligation. And then it also allows a mentor protege type relationship where they're able to build that camaraderie with other industry experts that can help them advance if it is something that they're truly interested in. So that incubator program, hopefully that's something that we can bring to fruition, but that is something we're looking at.
Is this also kind of leading into the business pitch workshop that we had spoke of as well? Is that kind of like the genesis of that thought? Because I know one of my questions later on is to talk about some of the creative solutions that both of you are trying to implement. So I'll bring it up now. A lot of folks, they could be seasoned business owners on the street, but as we said, the airport's a different animal. So is that where the incubator program works alongside a workshop like that to kind of help them along?
Yes, like currently we have about 17 participants that are going to be in our workshop to learn about the DBE, ACDBE, SBE program at the airport and where they fit in that. And we have from wellness to mechanical engineers that are participating in this program. And so it would be nice that once they graduate out this program, the airport does have something that they can kind of get involved in to show like this is what this looks like if you make a full commitment to bid on an opportunity. So I think ultimately, like I said, we have to lean on our resources, whether that's a community college in the area or one of our chambers, to see like how can we bring an incubator into the Richmond community. So.
And before we get to you, Rebekah, I do want to add, that's Business Capacity Accelerator, which we just piloted with Morehouse in Atlanta. We launched, I think, about a month ago now, and they are actually this cohort is actually graduating next week. That is kind of like the purpose of it, is to help kind of provide an education to folks who are interested in this space. But Rebekah, on your side, are you still seeing the need to educate folks as they get into the space? I mean, educate them on the space versus just trying to find and identify those the small businesses interested in airports?
There's definitely a need to educate. I'm very passionate about my smaller businesses. And what you don't want to see is you don't want to see them fail. And so that's where education becomes so important. Do you truly understand the impacts of operating in an airport? Do you understand the costs associated with it? but also as an airport, what are we doing to help, mitigate those challenges? Are there things that we can do to reduce down costs, whether it's, reevaluating, maybe our escorting policies or how we introduce products into the terminal. Different avenues can be explored to help mitigate those costs and expenses that come with being in an airport environment. But I think the most important thing is truly education and communication. So even as we have smaller businesses coming into the airport, you want to make sure that they have the support that they need, whether that's from the airport or from their, prime operator partners. We want to make sure that they understand, and as they face challenges, that they have the support to work and navigate through those challenges together.
What, in both of your opinions, what have you seen so far as probably the biggest um, shock that you've seen? I mean, we probably all know what the biggest hurdles are or the biggest pain points that folks face. But what are some of the ones that you've experienced with some of the folks that are coming in who just I didn't know it was, I didn't know, obviously, the cost. I didn't know the cost, the labor issue, or what have you. What were some of the kind of stories, and not stories, but some examples that you've come across where people are like, wow, I did not expect this coming into the airport, even though I had an education?
I think capital expenditure is a big one, especially in California. They have an idea of what it costs street side. And then when they go to bid in an airport environment, I think they're a little bit surprised by the cost to do construction in an airport. And that's not always reflected at times in that understanding. There's obstacles to construction. For example, certain work might have to be done after hours. You have toll control trying to get them into the airport, working behind a mall wall. So all these things add additional cost that they may not have planned or prepared for when they were first looking at opportunities in an airport.
How about you, Rochelle? Have you come across, I know you're still kind of like in the infancy stage, I guess, in some of the things that you're launching, but in the conversations you've had, I'm sure you've come across some folks who are just like, I didn't expect X, Y, or Z.
Well, definitely what Rebecca has touched on, but also just the staffing, right? We're first flight in, last flight out, and I don't think people prepare for that or understand why that's important, especially in Richmond, because our earlier flights is our busier time. And then, we have this pass through time where it's sprinkling here and there, and then it picks up toward the evening when people are returning from, their business trips. And so it's like, you have to have availability in your retail and food space for those individuals that are deplaning. And I think sometimes with businesses, they don't recognize that, because as a small business, you can dictate your hours, whatever, whenever you want to be open, but we're 365, 7 days a week,
Yeah,
and we need you available. So I think that is a shock to a lot of them as well.
yeah.
I guess my follow-up to some of this is, that's great. We have the education, but I feel like, to me, and it's not necessarily, I know we're talking about concessions for the most part here, but there are other aspects to our industry that are going through this, construction
Mhm.
being one. It's usually an awareness issue. I mean, is just like, I want to make sure before we leave here that we each of you have an opportunity to share where folks who are on in the audience can go, either on your website or what have you, to kind of learn more about the opportunities. But short of knowing, I can go to San Jose's website, Richmond's website. What are some of the other ways that we can get the word out more? Because I think it's just more so like, I didn't know I could do that in the airport, or there were opportunities at the airport.
Mhm.
I think there's opportunities, definitely engaging with your community, the various chambers, your council members, and making sure that you do extensive outreach. And it's again, this is where you talk about it being a living, document or a living activity where you're continuously driving these awareness opportunities. So definitely, your airport webpage, yes, that's one way, but
Mhm.
people, and I think that's what we really hear a lot, especially like in our outreach sessions. Oh, I didn't know this opportunity existed.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that everyone knows that, hey, we want you in our airport. These opportunities are here. And a lot of that just has to do with outreach, making sure that you're continuously communicating and being at the forefront of those opportunities to get that message out.
Mhm. Yeah, and so when it comes to the construction side, one of the external, um, I guess, initiatives that I've been driven to is working with VDOT. There is a center called the BOUT Center, Business Opportunity Workforce Development, and we have 9 districts in Virginia that has like a civil rights component to VDOT, and they keep a list of DBEs specifically that have registered with them in those districts. And so one of the things that I do, I send those opportunities to VDOT, but they also send me their opportunities. And so we have that collaboration there. Also Apex, which is like a government procurement resource here. And they have about 2,500 construction workers. And so now I'm connected in spaces where someone might really lean on that industry or that institution to help them through a process. Now it's okay. Consider the airport. Have you looked here? Our procurement site is EVA. As you mentioned earlier, the Capital Region Airport Commission oversees the Richmond International Airport. So you cannot search for us by Richmond International Airport in the procurement system. So I always have to put that out on the forefront of find me under Capital Region Airport Commission, because I think that is one of the hindrance that I will experience when trying to do outreach is that they're going to look for me under Richmond, and where that's not what we're called in our procurement site. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even larger airports, you would think, and they are kind of like it's like a Russian nesting doll. It's just like you have to drill down so many levels before I can get to what I need, and then you question whether it's actually the right department. So I totally get it. But do you think? And this is the last question on this topic. Should we continue to always do outreach, even if there's not an RFP or an opportunity that's imminent? Rochelle, I'll start with you.
Oh, most definitely. We just had like a art RFP. It's on the street right now. And, just off of LinkedIn alone, there were over 1,000 unique views to that, and I don't know the demographics, but it reached to Oklahoma, it reached to California, and art is not my specialty. I don't know any artists, and I'm not an artist, but I need to do that outreach because one, it's a new initiative here at the airport, but there are some suppliers that can assist with that project. It's not always the large projects that someone will benefit from because it's always that introductory that advances you to the next level. So if you could work on this quick quote or, be a supplier to something, it gets you in front of people. They get to experience your work and then they can bring you up in conversation. And next thing you know, you have that next opportunity just by word of mouth. I don't care what nobody say, word of mouth is the best advertisement. So
True. So Rebekah, are you looking to go beyond? I know you have the RFP coming out, but like even continuously just to be out in the community, even beyond
Yes.
once your RFP is already settled?
Yes, similar to what Rochelle said, it is an ongoing effort, right? And you never know. Sometimes we do have big RFPs, but sometimes we have mini ones. Sometimes we look and go, "Oh, I need a kiosk here, or I want to try a new type of service in this area, and that outreach at least gets the message out. And then we have a list of people that have communicated their interest that we can continue to reach out to, continue to engage them, and make sure that they're aware of opportunities as they come up. But it's very, very important for us to continue to drive that awareness. And like she said, you never know what projects you're going to work on. I mean, we have some big ones coming up. I mean, we're working on a hotel RFP, and that's something that's very new for us. And just those opportunities that creates, in so many fields. So it's important for us to make sure that we're communicating and staying engaged.
Opportunistic plug, two things. Become a member, and you do have access to our bid portal, which a lot of our airport partners, and even operator partners will post upcoming opportunities in a wide number of areas, not just concessions. It could be like you were saying, construction,
Mhm.
what have you. And also, another reason why you should come to the 39th Annual Airport Business Diversity Conference, which is going to be August 3rd to the 7th in Nashville, because then you can meet folks like Rebekah and Rochell and other airport decision makers and prime decision makers to kind of find out opportunities in this space. So just a quick plug on that end. I do want to pivot slightly and just talk about more. I touched on it earlier, talking about trends and issues on a grander level beyond, obviously, from a national level that impact us. We can sit here and Rochelle, from your standpoint, obviously, all the attacks on DI and DBE programs, et cetera. But I'd like for each of you to kind of share some of the things, not just the negative stuff, but some of the positive things that are kind of like impacting that you're seeing, could either impacting your airport now, currently, or you can see on the horizon coming on. And I'll start with you, Rochelle.
I think with the program in itself, it benefits us because right now we're an airport that's looking to increase concessions. And so it's a lot easier to get participation in the concession realm, right? Because you have plenty of food truck vendors or street side restaurant owners. And so I think for us, like that is going to be a very big focal point of how we bring small businesses into the Richmond space, as well as on our construction side, we have the fire station that we are going to be building, and that RFP releases in November, and we're going to have DBE participation on that job. And so we're going to do a lot of outreach, and we're going to be seeking individuals that have not had the opportunity to even know what our airport is doing. So we're going to be in a lot of communication with them. We're going to be introducing them to primes that we know strategically bid at Richmond. So I think the benefit of the program is that there is that outreach component because it keeps us engaged and it keeps people wanting to know more about what's going on at the airport.
And Rebekah, you were mentioning in the green room of sorts, where you're talking about some things, and you mentioned the dreaded two-letter word AI. Just talking about, because I know you being in the valley there, you must kind of see a lot of it now. But go ahead.
Well, definitely. I think that what really excites me is the future of technology integration in airports, and definitely AI is going to be a factor. And we start to see that coming up in conversations, even at conferences now. And, in concessions, the question is going to be is, how can it be utilized? Does it help us? How does it help us enhance that passenger experience? And of course, San Jose is located in the heart of Silicon Valley. So what is really unique about our demographic is we have people who are very tech savvy. They love technology, they know how to use it. And so it kind of puts us in a unique position where we get to be one of those pilot airports, right? So that, we've done that for, some of our airlines. We were the pilot program for Clear Channel when they did their first integration of an all digital billboard program because of the unique demographic of our Bay Area, where we do have people that are very tech savvy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that integration of technology and airport concession programs, how it leads to a more enjoyable and efficient travel experience for our passengers, while still, looking to boost sales and provide a better customer experience as well.
Do you find I think you guys were the first to incorporate, was it the ramen machine?
You did, yes, with yokai.
Yokai, yeah, and then the coffee, was it
Cafe X.
Cafe X? Are they still around? I think they still around, but around. So I think is it exciting then to be able to say, let us be kind of like your test market? Because again, airport is a great way to do it. It's a very unique environment to get stuff out. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, kind of like what they say about New York.
Exactly. And, it is very exciting. I mean, definitely when you're on the forefront of technology, there's challenges that you have to kind of navigate through, right? I mean, sometimes everything works great and then the next day it doesn't. So you have to be able to understand that there's going to be obstacles, and be comfortable with that, but also be comfortable with trying new things. And that's something, especially being in Silicon Valley, that we are comfortable with. And so we do welcome, technology integration into our program and look for those opportunities in the future.
Rochell, I want to go back to something you mentioned because I know you said you're working on incorporating SBEs into the program. I don't know if I asked this or not, but how has that been going? Because I know I've sat in, again, not an expert on this, but have sat in on various meetings where folks have mentioned these changes are great, but then there's a staffing issue in incorporating them, and executing on managing them, et cetera. How are you seeing, the challenges of, stuff in the final rule, basically?
With the final rule, I feel as though it's given us an opportunity to do pilots, because and unbundle contracts, right? Because that's the discussion of like we want to see more opportunities for minorities and women and small businesses. But how do you do that as an airport? Do you contribute financially to the construction component? And so we're looking at all those different avenues. I think that for Richmond, this is the perfect opportunity for us just because we have yet to execute a small business program here. So um, I'm excited. And from my outreach and the feedback that I'm getting, like, I get so many calls, like, when is the RFP releasing? Are you going to give us a notification before that happens? Like, and it's just like, okay, just give me a moment. I told you where to go. Did you filter your NAICS codes on the procurement side? Like, so they're excited and they're partnering with some of the primes and master concessionaires to get ready, and we're gonna see what happens. Like, we're gonna see.
If you guys, well, obviously, while you're taking time to, as I'm asking questions, if you can, Rochelle and Rebekah, if you could put in the chat maybe a link to where folks in the audience can find some of these opportunities, that would be great. Or if not, we can probably make sure that they get distributed after the fact. But I have two more questions, and then I do have a couple of questions in the chat that I want to get to. And one is kind of I want to make this fun. In your time that you've kind of like met other folks within the industry, you've networked, et cetera, maybe even kind of seen other programs, what is something from another airport program that you would love to incorporate in your own? If you could have, if your boss could say, boom, you could have, I want this, boom, it can happen. You got to think big. So Rochell, don't like just move the rock along. You got to think really, really huge here. So since Rebekah, I'm going to give you time to think, because Rebekah started laughing, giggling immediately.
I
She has
did
a long
because
list, I bet.
I think my wish list is really, really big.
Well, go with one. I'll give you one.
What did I see that I really, really well? So the funny thing is, we've been. I think this last year I've done a lot of traveling and going through a lot of airports, and one of the things you always focus on is what they do right. So I'm trying to think of one that is. Come back to me, Ramon.
See, now you're trying to narrow it down. You put
That's
Rochell
like,
on the
that's
hot
a
seat.
hard question because there's so many things that I see airports that do right, whether it's in their marketing and promotion of their concessions, the way that they do product merchandising. I think I've seen airports with their kiosk programs, and I think the thing that I think really stands out more than anything else is passenger engagement. I think that's the thing that I absolutely love when I go to an airport and they have curated a unique passenger experience, from live music to like San Francisco, they have exhibitors that come in and they have small shows. I've seen other airports that have done more like you know, pop-ups. So can I just do everything? I mean, but I think it's just, you go through an airport and especially when you start traveling a lot, it can be exhausting. And but when you go to these airports and you see how they engage with the passengers, I absolutely love it. We just recently started with one of our partners doing chef demonstrations, and those have been wildly successful. I mean, just watching passengers light up and get to interact with with the local chefs. and listen, sample their products. And I mean, definitely it's helped my sales as well. But I think it's just that. I mean, if you ask me what I want more than anything else, is to continue to enhance the passenger experience through passenger engagement, making sure that they have a unique experience each and every time they fly through San Jose. And I definitely think that's the direction we're going. And trust me, there's some airports out there that I will be stealing your ideas. Nashville, if I can, what do they have? What is it? Garth Brooks or whatever has a store. If I can get him in my airport, please.
But you don't want a Facebook store or what have
No.
you.
No.
I mean, you said think big, so
True.
Yeah.
True.
but I think that's what's really, really exciting, because it does, first of all, it does boost sales for all of our operators, but it makes your airport memorable. And that's something that I really like, is being able to have those unique ways to stand out, especially in an airport where we are competing against two other neighboring airports, right? How do we make ourselves unique? How do we make ourselves stand out?
Mhm.
All right, Rochelle, we gave you some time to think about it. Like, what would you have? What would you like if the airport ferry said, "Boom, we can make it happen for you."
The marketplace, so that town center type arena here at the airport would be great, with the naming of like some of our popular streets like Carytown and Broad Street. So when people come through the airport, they have a sense of Richmond. Because a lot of times people that come to our airport, they don't leave our airport unless they live here. So if they are flying out, that might be their final destination. So it's very important that when they walk through this airport, they actually feel Richmond, see Richmond. And so I would love to have a town center marketplace, front and center for our visitors, our passengers that come through. So
That might be an opportunity. I mean, if you're looking at featuring small, local artisanal purveyors, etc. I mean,
Mhm.
on a rotating basis, I've seen that done. I think the biggest I don't know about, I can't speak for either of you, but I know the biggest misconception, it seems, is that because we are in this industry that we've visited all 50 airports or all major airports, and we know what everything looks like, and it's not the case, because we don't have budgets like some large hubs do. So personally, I know when I go and travel, I like to build in a couple hours of my time to kind of just walk the airport. We all saw each other when we were in Dallas a couple months ago, and this is the dork that I am, kind of rode the Skyline. I think we call it the Skyline, right? It's still the Skyline, yeah,
Yeah.
Skyline, and just walked pretty much every terminal. I got tired by the time I got to Terminal D, but I was and saw everything, and because you get ideas, and I think just Rebekah, we were saying, when you get to see a lot of this stuff, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna borrow that, because I think, and I'm going to be on my soapbox for a little bit. I think I don't know if we're there still, but I know we have been in an industry where we don't want to be the canary in the coal mine. We want to see someone do it okay, they did it. Okay, it's okay for us, or
Yeah.
we can improve
Yeah.
upon it. And there's nothing wrong with being the second mouse to the cheese, right? But definitely beg, borrow, and steal wherever you can, because it's a copycat industry, and there's no shame in it.
Yes.
Excellent. Um, right, were you going to say something, Rebecca? I'm sorry, I thought you were going to.
No.
Well, my last question then is, I think we've kind of touched upon this in some ways, is what are you looking forward to in the next 12 to 18 months? Now, obviously the RFPs and things like, and opportunities and such, but if it's just that, or maybe something up and above that, but definitely tell me what you're looking forward to for the next year and a half. And I'll start with you, Rochelle.
Sure. So checkpoint realignment. If you have been to Richmond, you know that our concourses have two separate TSAs. And so with 4.4 million passengers coming through, they're stuck on either side that they came into. So we are going to be expanding our terminal checkpoint, and we're in design right now. So we cannot wait for that to release, because once again, that opens the opportunity for that square footage that's underutilized to now more concessions, more retail, maybe potential lounge. There is some things in the works for Richmond. That's why I say in the next 5 years, this airport will not look the same. It's going to be different. And we have international flights opening up. We are wrapping up our FIS customs area. So we should see that release sometime by fall for those international flights. So we no longer are just Richmond International, not international. We will now be officially international. So that's great.
That's great to hear. And how about you, Miss Bray? What are you looking forward to?
I find immense satisfaction in our long-term development plans. And, we have a packed schedule of RFPs and RFQs coming out. I did touch on our retail RFP, but in addition to that, we have a outdoor digital billboard RFP, a central receiving distribution center RFQ, a hotel development RFP, a hangar complex RFP, a street side strip plaza complex RFP, just to name a few. And you know, it's immensely satisfying because these processes allow us to kind of collaborate with a diverse range of partners and create new opportunities that really enhance our passenger experience. But they also help like elevate the overall airport environment. So the fact that I get that chance to kind of shape the future of the airport and be part of that is something that I find incredibly rewarding, and I'm very excited about the future of San Jose Airport.
I do want to go to, it seems like one of the questions already answered. So thank you for that, Rochelle. There is one question here, and I actually was thinking about this when it popped up. Things that we've been talking about have been about, for the most part, tangible goods, concessions or, services and stuff. So one question is, what does the outreach arena look like for aviation professionals who want to supply technical services to airports that aren't business or concessions? So probably like, professional service types. Are you
Mhm.
seeing a need for those types of services in your airports, but also maybe like RFPs and opportunities that you'll be sending?
Yes, absolutely. So our procurement site is Eva, and I can definitely get the link over to Ramon because I don't remember off the top of my head the official link. But when it comes to consulting services, Richmond International, we have several. We just released our master plan. We have IT professional services. We did. I want to say air solutions or something like that. So there is opportunity, I think, with us. Once again, our procurement site in finding us, you have to go under Capital Region Airport Commission. You have to register in that procurement site. You have to ensure that your NAICS codes and NGIP codes are filtered there so you get those notifications. You can always reach out to me. We're pretty transparent, excuse me, about who our buyers are. And so we have a conference coming up November 13th, our Business Opportunities Conference. Our buyers will be there. We'll also notify how much we spend and what we buy on and what that looks like for our physical year for 25, 26, 27. So you'll have the opportunities to see what's coming up. With us, a lot of times those professional services contracts are about 1 year with a 3-year extension. So go out and see that previous RFP and look and see what the worker scope is and how long the term of that contract is. So you can be ready, willing, and able when that opportunity presents itself again.
Rebecca?
So similarly, the city, we are operated by the city of San Jose, owned and operated by the city of San Jose. So our procurement opportunities do go through the Bid and Go platform. And you can see those opportunities not only for the airport, but for the whole entire city of San Jose on either Bid and Go or going to San Jose ca.gov website and looking up procurement. And so those opportunities go across the whole entire city of San Jose, including the airport.
Excellent. It's great to hear. Well, I want to thank Rochelle and Rebecca for speaking with me today. I know we're on the eve of the weekend, like I was saying. But I think if there's one great takeaway from this, obviously, I wanted to kind of showcase the different challenges that some airports have. As different as we all are, even if we are in the same size category, there's still challenges within our regions that kind of make us unique. And it seems like there's still some challenges that we all kind of share and still perpetuate. So I want to thank you guys for sharing that. Um, and if there should be any kind of takeaway from this, please visit, the Richmond International's websites or San Jose's websites. I know they're all nestled in there. Just kind of stay abreast of everything that's going on. Or you can visit our the AMAC website and look at our events calendar page, and we'll try our best to kind of make sure that outreach events like the one Rochell just mentioned in November. Rochell, don't forget about that. We're going to list that. That we make sure that those get listed on our events calendars so that you can attend. And if you are brand new or newish to this industry, I can't express enough that make sure you attend as many of these outreach events as possible, even if they're just virtual, even if it's something in a category that is not relevant to you, only because at the end of the day, you're getting to see names, faces, you get the great education and exposure from all the folks that are, hosting these events. So make sure you make the time to do that. And also, last but not least, the Airport Business Diversity Conference, which is going to be in August in Nashville, Tennessee. Please make sure you register. So again, Rochell and Rebekah, thank you so much for spending this time with me. And to everyone in the audience, have a great, safe, and blessed weekend. Hopefully it is nice and cool wherever you are, unlike here in South Florida. Take care.
Thank
you.
you.
Take
Have a
care.
good one.
Have a good
Have
day.
a good one.
Bye.